I'm Portia. I am a monetary mastermind and empowerment and personal growth mentor and the author of Money in the Mind. I want to thank you for taking a little time to invest in yourself. And if you know a little bit about me, then you know that I live in LA and it's one of the most expensive places in the entire country, but I've been able to live and thrive here almost exclusively via budgeting. So there are 3 budgeting misconceptions that we learn by our parents, on the internet, by a friend, that are killing your financial goals. I want you guys to stick around because if you're going through a financial crisis or find yourself in an emergency money situation or have just enough money to pay all of your bills but you find that you can't eat or you have an eviction notice coming up, if you find yourself in that kind of situation, I have 5 action steps for you that you can take right now to keep yourself afloat and avoid bankruptcy and evictions. So these 3 budgeting misconceptions. Number 1 budget misconception. There's always this assumption that you have extra money to spare. That is not always the case. For me, living in LA, especially my first year, that was not the case. Well, the number 1 thing is that don't feel like budgeting isn't for you just because you don't have that extra money to spare. Budgeting is even more so for you. You need to budget because you don't have the leeway, because you don't have the money to spare. So what you're actually going to need is you're going to need to create an expense report first and budget second. An expense report is basically an itemized list, a receipt of everything that you are spending. I need you to get down to the nitty gritty, down to the nickels, to the dimes, because that's what you're working with, because every nickel and every dime will be the difference between you being able to pay your rent and you getting that eviction notice on your door. Once you create an expense report, then you can see, okay, I'm actually spending $600 on food every month. If I could just cut that down to $400 a month, then I would have an extra $200 a month that I could put on bills or that I can put a couple dollars more in saving. Once you see what you're actually spending, then you can create a better budget for yourself that's much more realistic, that's based on real numbers. Another thing, in truth and in my research, I found that most people actually do have enough money to cover all of their expenses at the very least, and also have more. Now, the reason why most people feel like they actually don't have enough when they do have enough, when you actually look at the numbers, it's not about how much money they're making and how much is coming in, it's about when money is going out. Most of us do not get a lump sum amount of money at the beginning of the month that we can work with. So we have to maneuver our money very strategically, because there are moments when money is coming in and there's moments when the money just ain't coming in. So you have to work with what you have. One of the things that kind of bothered me a little bit, advising that you pay all of your bills around the time that you get paid. That's not inherently bad. I'm not saying that. Problem is, most people get paid every 2 weeks. So that means that you're going to have a week where you have money, but then all of that money immediately goes to bills, and then you have no money for 14 days. Yeah, your bills will be paid, but can you eat? You're going to be saying no so much. Not saying the healthy no. The healthy no is good, but saying the no when you really want to say yes is so hard on your psyche. I want you to be in a position where you can say yes more often. You want to catch up and have coffee? Yes, I can do that because I have $5 extra to do that. Space your bills out so that on a day-to-day basis, you have more breathing room. So think about it, right? You hear these stories about people who've embezzled millions of dollars. If you're me, you're thinking to yourself, how the hell do you embezzle millions of dollars and they don't know? They nickel and dime them. They didn't take out $250,000 every day. They took out a couple dollars here, $1,000 there, $50 here. After 10 years, you got $3 million off this person. That's what I want you to do, but to yourself. Dish out money nickel and dime. Just because your rent is due on the 1st doesn't mean you can't pay on your rent before the 1st. Do small hits so that you don't feel it as much. Same thing with savings. 5 in savings here, you put 20 in savings there, you put 10 in savings there, so that you don't feel the hit of not having that money, which is a huge thing too when it comes to savings. Definitely write this down. People, in my opinion, save way too much money at one time. Once again, the embezzlement thing, like, think about if this was someone actually like stealing your money, right? Like, how much amount of money would you be like, whoa, 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 where the hell did that money go? If you are responding like that, then that's too much money for you to be saving. I know it's like a weird thing to say, like, saving too much money, what? But then you find yourself dipping back into the savings account because it was too much money for you to handle to save. You are defeating the purpose of a savings account. A savings account is meant for you to save for a rainy day or for a certain purchase that you want to make But if you are dipping into your savings account every week, every 2 weeks, every month, or whatever, that's no longer a savings account. That's just a second checking account. So the second budgeting misconception is most people are budgeting for the month or for the year. What I mean is that they're budgeting monthly and yearly, not weekly, bi-weekly, or daily. So for the year I make 70,000. I want to save about 20,000. I'm going to keep my expenses at 50,000. There's nothing like inherently wrong with it. Most people are getting paid every 2 weeks. Some people are getting paid every week, and who the hell knows, these strippers getting paid every day. If you're getting paid every 2 weeks, it's only going to serve you but so far to budget per month. At the very least, you need to be looking at how your money is coming in a 2 week period. If you know that you are getting paid on the 1st and the 15th, then you need to have a budget for the 1st through the 14th and the 15th through the 30th for the 31st. That will serve you a lot better, and it will be a lot more detailed and specific. Also, budget for the day. Make sure that you're looking at the nickels and the dimes that come out. When you say to yourself, man, I started out the week or the month with $500 or $1,000, $5,000, where the hell did it go? Most likely, you didn't have $1,000 purchase or a $5,000 purchase. It went in the $5 that you spent on Subway, in the $20 pair of shoes for Walmart. It's in these small little moments of you shelling out $1 here, $5 there, $20 here, $85 there. That's where your $5,000, your $1,000 a month goes. Honestly, I feel like you should have at the bare minimum 3 kind of budgets. Macro level, why I say that by the end of 2019, I want to have $10,000 in a savings account. You're going to want to have a yearly budget, but you also want to have your monthly budget so that you are looking at your yearly budget and saying, okay, well, if I want to save $10,000, then I'm going to have to make sure that at the end of this month that I'm saving about $1,000. Money is numbers. You want all of these numbers to add up to your goal. So have all of those budgets. Third misconception, most people don't know how to budget for their specific monetary situation. A lot of people say, well, you should save 30% of your income, 20%, you should save 10%. These are just numbers that they're throwing out. You need to save an amount that works for you. Take that information and then you customize it. A lot of people aren't customizing it. That's kind of where they get into the jackpot. They look at somebody who's making $75,000 a year and they copy the same exact budget, but they're only making $20,000 a year, and then they wonder why their budget isn't working after like a month or 2 months. Because you're not making $75,000 a year, and on top of that, you have 4 children and they're single. You have student loans, they don't. You have a car note that's $220, they don't even have a car note. These are completely different situations. If someone robs you, you could have budgeted daily and weekly and yearly and done all these things, but if you get robbed, you are now suddenly thrown into a completely different monetary situation. This kind of leads into my 5 action steps on what you can do when you're in an emergency. Now, I don't know what your specific budgeting situation is. I don't know if you have student loans. I don't know if you have a mortgage or a rent, if you have a car note or your car's paid off. I don't know those things. That's why we would have a consultation. So here it is. Here are the 5 action steps that you can take. You're in debt. You got the eviction notice, you're thinking about bankruptcy, or you're just tired of choosing between filling your gas tank and filling your stomach, because that's an emergency situation to me. These are the action steps that you will need to take. And definitely write this down, okay? Number 1, create a list. All of your bills, their due dates, their amounts. And if it helps, you can also put them on a calendar so you can see, like, this one is coming out 2 days after that one, and after I paid that, now I have a week later to figure out how to get the money for that, or a timeline. Whatever that you need to use that visually helps you put these things into some sort of chronology. After you have all of these things listed, you know how much they are, you know their due dates, you need to prioritize them by urgency. What's most urgent goes at the top, and what's least urgent goes at the bottom. Your urgency would be dependent on the date that it's due, or the date that it was due, the amount of money that it is, and the consequence for not paying it. Rent, for instance, if it was due on the 1st and it is now the 17th, it's a large amount of money, and the consequence of you not paying it is that you don't have any place to stay. That is a very high urgency. That needs to go at the top. You need to tackle that first. Low urgency would be new Jordans came out and my son really wanted me to get a pair for him. First of all, it costs a lot of money. There's not really a time frame for when you have to buy these Jordans. And also, you don't have to buy these Jordans. It's definitely an optional purchase. And the consequence for you not buying them is your son's pissed for like a week. Okay? We need to have our home. And a lot of it might seem obvious or self-explanatory, but I had to do this for myself. I was just having all of these things that were urgent and not urgent, and just having them all together and being like overwhelmed, like, I need to pay things. But I wasn't putting them in a list so I could know this is number one. That's what's most important. It will create a lot of clarity in your mind. Once you have that list, then that'll help you be able to nickel and dime too. Kind of leads into number 3, right? Once you have your urgency list, plan your attack. This is where you use my budgeting tips. Nickel and diming, create an entire budget for these specific bills or specific points of urgency. A lot of people don't realize that you can actually extend due dates or change the due dates if that bill doesn't work for you and if that company allows it. Also, this is where you want to get very familiar with the consequences of going past the due date, and if there's any grace period, you want to get very familiar with how much actual time that you have. Call people on the phone, get people on the phone. I know I hate calling people on the phone, but you're in a situation where you can't let any of your nickels or your dimes just fall through your fingers. Remember that you have the power of this situation. The 4th action step that you can take is get immediate cash flow. That's going to look different for different people depending on your access, your network, net worth, your credit score. You can get a loan, you can get a credit card, you can increase your credit card limit, you can borrow money, ask for a raise, do overtime, do some freelancing, babysit somebody, whatever you need to do besides tricking out here on these streets. And hell, if you gonna trick, look, I ain't mad at you, okay? The whole thing is that this gives you breathing room, have more options at your disposal. You don't have to take $1,000 from your mom to pay off $1,000 bill. Ask for $200 from your mom, $200 from a credit card, $200 from your rainy day saving, $200 from your checking, and then $200 from your overtime. And now you have $1,000, but you didn't tap out one resource. And then the 5th is execute your plan. You go to your boss and you say, oh, can I get overtime? Or, oh, is it possible for me to get an advance on my paycheck? Pick up the phone and you find out what those due dates are. Start creating your budget and your expense report so that you know exactly how much money is coming out. This is where you do the thing. I've created these strategies for people before. And the worst thing, you spend all this time creating the strategy, and then a month later, they're in the same situation because they didn't do anything. They didn't execute the plan. Working with me, we go through a financial autopsy. I don't just work with people to get them out of debt and get them out of their situation. I work and mentor people to reach abundance. I don't just want you to get by. I want you to go on vacations to Europe, to Australia, to India, to Japan. So if I become your mentor, that is the kind of person that I'm looking for. My course, Budgeting to Abundance, you go from struggling to pay all of your bills, being in debt, to saving towards $100,000. Plus, you get to work with my own personal financial advisors who will help you at every step along the way. It will launch January 1st. It will be $1,000. I'm only offering the program to 100 people. And because I like you guys, the people who watch this, I have an exclusive opportunity for this week only. It'll only be $500 for the 6-part course. I'm only offering this to 10 people. Budget Bootcamp Insider. And as an insider, you will get a 30-minute budgeting session with me. And make sure before we have our budgeting call that you have looked through all your finances and you know exactly what you want to get out of our information session. And I can just be giving you answers instead of more questions. Of course, I will answer your questions, but I want you to be able to utilize those 30 minutes as best as you can. If you would like to be a Budget Bootcamp Insider, say me in the comment. I understand, like, if you really want the opportunity to work with me so that we can figure out your budget, so you can finally start paying all your bills, and you really want to save $100,000, but you're not really sure how you'll be able to afford, just type in the description box, me, but let's talk. I'll hop on the phone with you for 15 minutes and we'll just see if we will be a good fit together. So if you know that you can put in the work, I'm gonna put in the work so that we can make this work. And I am so excited for when you will be learning all of the shit to budget your way to abundance, to your dream room, your dream house, your dream vacation. Guys, I have vacationed like over 10 times this year. It's almost exhausting the amount of times I vacation. This is a life I never expected for myself, but I got here because of what I will be teaching you in the Budgeting to Abundance. Thank you so much for being here, for showing up, for your finances, for your future. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me there. Portia D Does Style. Other than that, I see y'all later. Bye.